Hi, this is Frank with a Frank Opinion. Is our country living the plot of Lord of the Flies? I think it is. Written in 1954 by William Golden, it depicts the struggle, in an allegorical sense, of the human impulse towards savagery versus the impulse towards creating a civilization for the common good. A plane crashes on an unnamed island. It contains a group of boys, pre-adolescent boys between the ages of 6 and 12. And they have no adult supervision on this island, so they have to kind of make do by themselves. There are four main characters, and then the group of boys is broken up between the littlings, which in this novel basically depict the weak and helpless in society, the biggins, which contain all the power because they're the older boys. And then you have four main characters. Ralph, who has common sense. He's a leader. He is concerned with the survival of all the boys, and therefore depicts the impulse towards creating a civilization for the common good. He identifies goals, things that the young boys have to do in terms of trying to survive. Piggy, who's chubby, has glasses, is asthmatic, is also the one that possesses the most intelligence. And he helps Ralph in the beginning of the book with defining the types of strategies that the boys should employ in order to survive. Jack represents evil, violence, a concern with gaining power for power's sake. And Roger is a sadist. He winds up killing Piggy, not unlike our efforts to, on the part of certain political parties, Republicans come to mind, which want to kill off anybody that has intelligence leading to defining the root cause of global warming and climate change as we know it. So the novel is not a happy one. Jack winds up taking over the entire group from Ralph, and in fact at the end of the novel they're all chasing and looking for Ralph on the island in order to kill him. Ralph is actually saved only because a boat finally comes by, and on the beach Ralph is running and he and the boys are saved. But they all descend into savagery. And that's the point of the book. Where has our country come within the last 25, 30 years? It's been en route to anything but a civilized society for the common good. We have the horrendous, cruel, brutal family separation policy. Children living in cages, on cement floors. You've seen it on TV, including the young Salvadoran father and his toddler child drowned in a river, trying to make their way into the United States after being repelled from seeking asylum legitimately. Our assault on women's right to choose, and just the basic notion of equality of women with men in every respect. The indifference to modern-day lynchings in the form of police shootings of unarmed black men and women. Our acceptance of Saudi Arabia, who still beheads people as a way of meting out punishment. And our denial of global warming's primary cause, which is our reliance on fossil fuels, a threat to the entire planet. So how did we come to this? Well, we've had our Jacks. And I submit to you, at least my opinion is, that the first Jack in modern times, Republicans in the era of Eisenhower, in the era that apparently Joe Biden is recalling, when there was comity and civility and so forth and so on, is no longer with us. Those Republicans are long gone from our society. What we have now is a group of Republicans controlling the Republican Party that are descendants of Newt Gingrich's master plan of seizing control of the House of Representatives from the Democrats by having Americans hate government. Government is there to create a society or a civilization for the common good. Newt decides to make Americans hate government. Government is inept, it's incompetent, it's taking and wasting your tax dollars, which you could have been using for yourself. And basically he succeeded. 1994, he creates this plan. He assumes the speakership of the House in 1995. And since then, in my opinion, we've descended to where we are now. Who's our present Jack? Well, our present Jack could be, obviously, the occupant in the White House, someone who could be classified legitimately as having narcissistic personality disorder, and he's a sociopath. He apparently has no conscience. And a sociopath is somebody that has a personality disorder that also manifests itself in a lack of conscience. It could be Mitch McDonald, could be Roger, the sadist. He likes being called, apparently revels in being called a Grim Reaper. It could be Stephen Miller. There's any number of people within the Republican Party that could be classified as Jack or Roger. Who's the future Jack or Roger? Well, somebody that comes to mind for me is U.S. Florida Representative Matt Gaetz. If you've seen him and watched him in hearings and in interviews, this guy is out to lunch. This is one sorry dude. What is our present dilemma? I think that we are this close to going over the line and not being able to undo where we have come to over the last 25 years. For one, we've got Donald Trump, and if he is a classic narcissistic personality disorder, he needs constant attention. He needs now to be president for as long as he possibly can, and that is something that fulfills his every need, every moment. This is someone who is not going to go away. He has said as much. He needs to survive at all costs, and he will do anything, in my opinion, to survive and create for himself a second term. Trump is anywhere between 42 and 49%. 42 on the low side, let's say it's even lower than that in some polls. But in terms of likely voters, he is at a much higher end. So this little margin here is all we've got to work with in order to identify our future Ralph. We've got lots of competitors for that. We don't have a present Ralph. Nancy Pelosi, as Speaker of the House, in my opinion, is nowhere a match for Trump, because Trump knows no bounds, no norms, no conscience. He will do anything to maintain himself in office. So Nancy Pelosi is not the key here, but we've got 23 to 25 Democratic contenders on the Democratic side for president, and hopefully one of them will emerge. I might want to say that Bernie Sanders comes to mind as someone for 2016 that could have been classified as a Ralph. But Jack did away with that possibility. And therefore we have Trump. We also have a problem with a compromised Democratic Party that knows deep down within its gut that it has allowed all of this to take place. It is now on the debate stage, last night and probably tonight. Most of them will be talking about income inequality and the importance of climate change and the horrendous immigration policy that we have and the kids at the border and the need for universal health care and so forth and so on. These are things that could have been addressed when the Democrats had all three parts of our government within the Obama, and actually before, but it did not. It allowed Clinton to go to the right and cede more and more power to Republicans that have no use for government, that have no empathy, that have no concern for creating a United States for the common good. So we better do our homework, roll up our sleeves, and make sure that we have a major change in 2020. Thanks.